Okay, I never know when we're live. I don't have a view count yet, but I think we're live. So welcome everyone to Rocket Lab Weekly, episode 111. Today we have Scotto with us and Top Gun Matty. And yeah, it's been a very rough week, I guess, for Rocket Lab. The post-earnings fallout and market fallout. I guess it was like the perfect storm for Rocket Lab. Yeah, so how is everyone doing?
Good. I mean, I'm always looking forward to earnings season until we're in earnings season. Then I'm looking forward to it being done. So we had a Rocket Lab earlier in the week. Firefly reported as well. And pretty much everything outside of that have just been like reading into Redwire, trying to make sense of that earnings call. And there were, I think, 5 different Form 4s filed this week from Redwire execs. And kind of the more I look at it, the more I'm like, you know what? Either they're setting themselves up for a world of legal trouble or they're going to have an outstanding 2026. So long story short, I ended up buying, I used 25% of the cash that I trimmed in the 20s and I bought back in at 5.5. So it's like one heck of a pullback, but we'll see how that plays out. But aside from that, yeah, I still haven't bought Shift 4. I should just add to that position, but that's the only move I made this past week. Is just buying a teeny bit more Redwire. How about you guys?
How about you, Vince? You go first.
Yeah, I mean, like, as you guys know, my portfolio is boring because I have the stupid effing cover calls on Rocket Lab, but I'm very strongly considering on this dip to just fully close it out and then rebuy Rocket Lab and just go full portfolio. I was going to originally like diversify into, like Rocket Lab, Tesla, and maybe Shift 4, but like, to be honest, I like the earnings so much, and I feel like Rocket Lab is a company that it just like keeps getting better, like since I follow the company, and my trust is more and more up with Sir Peter Beck, and I think this dip is like the universe setting itself right for me, because I missed this whole big run because of my stupid cover calls, and yeah. So that's I'm actually excited about it. I really hope there's not people in the comments that we need to talk off from jumping off the roof. In case, let us know, and before you do anything stupid, it's pullbacks exist. The stock can't go up in a straight way, and all your losses are paper losses. So yeah, Matty, how was your week?
Oh, good. Yeah, I mean, I'm down, 15, 16% from all-time highs, but it's a privilege, to be able to be in this position and talk to great people like yourselves about a company that I like. I mean, to give people some perspective, we're still up, 81% in terms of the stock price and over 170% for the past year. So I think it's hard pressed to draw any sort of concern. And, for me particularly, I was just thinking it was just like, well, people are probably running for the hills. I think your title probably drives some panic there, Vince. 40% down from all-time highs, and you start thinking, you're like, well, did they stop launching electrons? No. Did they stop launching HASTE? No. Is the space system still delivering and increasing very massively quarter over quarter and year over year? Yes. Okay, maybe Neutron's delayed a little bit, but it's kind of a drop in the bucket. 40% highs to me is a great opportunity. I was buying at 70. I bought more this past week, so it'll be fun to see where it goes from the next 1, 5, and 10 years from now.
We all need to be more like Matt. By the way, just on what you said about Neutron being delayed, like, did you guys also notice how like Blue Origin was like the least cool space company, and then they did this landing and suddenly like they're cool again, and that's what everybody remembers, is that they have landed a rocket. And I think Sir Peter Beck is really wise in saying that nobody remembers a late rocket. People remember a blown up rocket or one that is flying sideways. But I mean, for me, as you said, Matt, this Neutron delay and the market reaction, and I hope that there is going to be a lot of overreaction to this, even more than it has already been. It's just a gift. It's just a gift, and nobody's going to remember this Neutron is flying. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is the company is slightly diluting shareholders over time, right? With the ATM program, and then as well the share-based compensation. And so I want to make sure that as this company continues to grow, that I have as much ownership of it as I can. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to look across the landscape of any stock that's out there. And I saw some people talking about macro and things alike. And this is just my personal view. So, not views of anybody else. But I mean, the way I look at it is I think that Rocket Lab is a generational type company that, you'd be hard pressed to find 50 other stocks very similar like it in the same position. And so for me, choosing this as one of my riders, I personally think that this is something I want to continue to own more and more percentage of, right? And so when I get into the 40s and 50s of my life, 6 to 15, 20 years down the road, I have the ability to borrow against it and or use it for other purchases like buying more homes or moving across the country or traveling or whatever, and hopefully being able to see some launches in different countries as well. That'd be a treat, right? So whether that be New Zealand or potentially in the UK. So I look at this as a lifelong journey, and to me, I just want to own as much of it as I can. So this is a blessing in disguise for me.
Cool. We're very much on the same page. All right, so I think let's go over the news. Even though we're somehow on this chit-chatting that we usually do, we're so good at anyways covering what I have lined up. So we have a haste on the launchpad in Wallops, and I saw some tweets where it looked like it was delayed until Monday. But Scotto, can you run us through, I think this will be launch 17 or 18?
Oh man, give me a second. Yeah, I think number 17. Let me just bring it up real quick.
Yes, 17.
17. Wait, is it? Oh yeah. Sorry, yes, absolutely 17. Yeah, and that's happening Monday. I saw Eastern. I always forget the name. I just had it up too. Oh my goodness, Eastern Shore Spaceflight. They posted. It's looking like Monday around. Oh, that's an early one, 7:45 a.m. Eastern. So that's looking good. Yeah, man, it's going to be continue to be a busy rest of the year. I did see another, I think, a delay for STP. That one's I'm really unclear on in terms of what comes next, because it was supposed to be April 2026 and it got moved forward somehow to December 8th. A very specific date, and then now it seems to be April 2026 again. I'm not sure if that's just like a miscommunication or what is going on, but I mean, we still have Synspective, we still have is that 2 with ESA? No, one of those is JAXA, and then one BlackSky should be launching any day from New Zealand as well. So I mean, Rocket Lab reiterated 20 plus launches. I think they're going to do that. I'm quite confident they're going to do that. We're probably looking closer to around 22, 23 is probably a safe bet to round out the year.
Wow, that'd be awesome. I mean, can you remind me, Scott? 6 is our max in a quarter, if I remember.
5 is the record, and we've hit that a few times. Yeah,
we have hit 5 a few times. I was wondering because I remember hitting 5 a few times. Wasn't sure if we actually got to 6, but it seems like we're on record pace. And I saw that things are actually being accelerated for maybe Vince. I may be jumping the gun, but I saw somebody post that we might actually have an acceleration into 2025. As well, so excited to see. That might be the STP that you're talking about. I'm not exactly sure what STP was.
That was that DiskSat one, and that's curious too because I track Redwire really closely, and they have these like VLEO satellites. They're like your standard satellites, like 500 kilometers up. Redwire's talking like 200 to 300 kilometers up, and what Rocket Lab is launching, and you see by like the blueprints, like these are made for an Electron, but they're very, very thin. So I'm wondering if that could be some sort of like VLEO offering that Rocket Lab is going to start launching. So very interesting design, just a bunch of little like sewer cover looking things. Really, really neat.
All right. So from the launches, I think we should revisit the earnings. I was thinking that the earning presentation, I don't know if we should go through it again. Maybe we could just mention like what you guys like the most about earnings, and then Dave had some notes that I thought was really good on the earnings call itself. Maybe we could just also go through that, and then we move on to the next topic. So yeah,
first thing for me, I was very surprised that they're aiming for close to 600 million. I mean, I for some reason, thought that we would kind of be out of reach from that. So to hit the high 500s, low 600s in terms of where we might end up for the year is like mind-boggling to me, because I don't know. They're earlier in the year with the first quarter and second quarter numbers kind of showing up. I was thinking maybe we closer to 550, 575. So the fact that we're getting close to 600 kind of blew me away.
For me, it was the margins. Like, I cannot believe how high the margins are. And it's so crazy because many of the things that they're doing is like even going to increase the margin more. Like, for example, Neutron, there the target is 50%. Probably it's not going to happen immediately. Probably in the short term, it's going to be negative for margin. But on the long term, so Neutron is going to push the margin even higher. And then you have the space infrastructure that is coming, that is going to push the margin even higher. So I was really, because currently we don't have profitability. So the only gauge that you have on how profitable they're going to be is the gross margin. And they have a super nice, I think for a material manufacturer to have a 39% gross margin is very, very, very healthy.
Somebody corrected me when I was listening to Adam. I think I was just talking too quickly. Apologies, I'm eating a late lunch, early dinner. I'm not even on screen. The one thing that surprised me a little bit was they were talking about satellite margins in the Q&A section, and we're now for solar, which was I think the drag, and probably one of the most prominent space systems things that we sell, other than reaction wheels, which I know Scott loves to look at. But the margins have now kind of exceeded 30% for a lot of these things. And like you stated, for materials, that's a lot. And for whole satellites, it seems like now they're in like the 25 to 30% margin range versus competitors, which are lucky to be in the high teens, if even getting to the teens. So I knew originally when I wrote it, I was just like, when I was listening, I kind of fat fingered it and thought that he was saying, like most satellites for us are in the, low teens, like high teens. And then for lucky, we get to 25 to 30%. But he was actually doing a comparison against most satellite manufacturers. So I don't know what the hell they're doing over at Rocket Lab, but it seems like comparatively, they're running a lean, mean, efficient machine when it comes to some of these things. And I think that when we start to see some of these awards go out, for broader Space Force and things of the like, we could see how much more meaningful a $500 or $1 billion contract for Rocket Lab might be than it might be for others because of the gross margins that they're able to see.
Yeah. Scotto?
I'll actually share my screen because there's a couple slides that aren't so explicit, but I think are worth bringing up.
Yeah.
Okay, so put out a request.
There.
Okay, cool. So, I guess we'll start with the backlog. So we have a record 49 electrons in backlog, which is an all-time high. On the call, there was clarification that Neutron 3, which is the U.S. Air Force Research Laboratory reentry mission, that is not yet in a backlog due to it being a ride share. So to make a long story short, we can revisit. When was that one? Q2. I did the math. I won't circle back to it, but we can revisit the old bookings, and it allows us to calculate a more accurate average selling price for both Electron and Neutron. So if we scroll over one, we can see that it's come down a little bit over the past couple quarters, but it's still resting around like the $8.5 million mark as compared to 8.4 million from the period prior, or the year prior, I should say. So that's trending in the right direction. It's not a huge data set, but it's all the all the info that we have available for that, and it just continues to trend in a positive direction. Keep in mind, this is probably drugged down a little bit. We had like those 17 launches booked within the quarter. 10 of those were a bulk order, so those are at a discount. So that's probably why we saw a bit of a tick downwards. But and I'm also assuming no haste, or that would probably balance out. But there's that. And then one other thing that I want to highlight is the headcount. So Rocket Lab reports headcount as production, R&D, and SG&A headcount. And with that, we can compare the revenue to the headcount, both of which are trending in positive direction. Not quite seeing all-time highs, but still, same thing with the average selling price for Electron, just heading in the direction that you want to see. So a lot of companies, they'll take on a lot of employees, and you'll just kind of see revenue stagnate. Not really the case with Rocket Lab. One final thing that I want to touch on, we'll circle back to the backlog. We were talking on the stream, and I made a point that actually I'll just show you guys like the raw numbers here. Because one thing that I did notice was that the bookings, I guess technically not really, you can't really consider it bookings, but we'll just call them bookings for this example. You'll see over the past several quarters, Rocket Lab generally books about 50, 32, we'll call it 50 million per quarter in space systems bookings. This particular quarter was like quite a bit more, 115 million. And Vince, you were quick to point out that that's probably from Geost, and I was inclined to agree. But then if you look through their 10Q, and I might be misunderstanding this, so I want to put a huge asterisk on that. But if we scroll down to the summary of preliminary identifiable intangible assets acquired and the related expected lives for the finite-lived intangible assets, the backlog looks to only be about $11 million from Geost.
Isn't it 41?
No, like right here on the, so I don't know if I can bring that in.
It's so small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
11 million. And that's my understanding is that's the entirety of it. I've scoured this whole forum trying to look for like backlog mentions or Geost mentions. And it seems like that is all that came from Geost. So Rocket Lab, that's still like $100 million in bookings for space systems for this quarter, which is like phenomenal. Like that's kind of twice what they usually do. Yeah, I'll pause there.
So I want to double down on that piece there. So like 100, 120, that's pretty good. But at this point, you're not like, I'm gonna bring an oil and gas term in here, but we'd call something like reserve replacement ratio. Like obviously you're producing a bunch of oil. Are you backfilling enough? And so I guess my question is like, with space systems revenue being above this amount, like, are we actually doing enough? Or do you think these $115, $120 million quarters is good, and you'll have the lumpiness of the big contracts to come in that kind of get you way above so that you're able to continue to kind of grow at pace?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm quite confident that there's going to be a lot of those. And like usually when I look at these, like when we kind of talk about the bookings, I intentionally leave out this number here because it's like, yeah, going from like the $50 million average, well, sometimes you get 10x that in a quarter. So, and granted, sometimes you get less than that. Like the quarter previous, you could look at that and be like, oh, they went from 50 million to only 5 million. Maybe you see that and you sold because they're not backfilling. But then, yeah, you get a nice pop of $500 million the next quarter. And I think we're going to see probably a few more of those in the probably next few quarters, I would imagine, especially with the government opening up. I think those contracts are going to start to roll out. And I think that Rocket Lab is primed to take a bit of that market.
Yeah, it's an interesting segue because I see that there were some people commenting on like what the valuation of Rocket Lab has been, and it was very warranted that we did this pullback a little bit, and then somebody mentioned if you compare it to Lockheed Martin's valuation, they have like 40 billion in revenue and they're worth 75 billion. I don't think that they're the best comparison because I haven't looked at that company so much, but I don't think they are that profitable, and I don't think that they're growing as much as Rocket Lab is growing. And yeah, so I don't think that that's the best comparison. But some people are saying that probably we will have like a 6 months to 9 months pullback. Some people are thinking it's going to bounce right back. And as none of us, as far as I know, can predict the stock price, in case you can, please contact me on Twitter. But like, maybe let's go through like what is catalysts for the company that is coming, and what is like negatives for the company that is coming, and then maybe we can make a prediction on like where we guesstimate the stock price might be.
I mean, I think the negatives are kind of, how do I say this? Actually, I'll say this a different way, because I think a lot of folks, myself included, are kind of expecting the market to kind of flop around for the next maybe couple quarters, especially Rocket Lab. You can make the argument, you know, it's priced to perfection, Neutron's priced in, what have you. But I think that Rocket Lab is in a unique situation and do a phenomenal job communicating the situation, that we know what to expect in terms of bad news. I actually just took a screenshot. I missed it on the call, but I saw Space Ghost even mentioned, like, they broke down the SDA contract in terms of the, like they did like a revenue breakdown. So year 1 is 10%, year 2 and 3, 40%, final year is 10%. So that's really, really helpful in terms of tracking. A lot of other companies don't do that. Like, I'll pick on Redwire. Like, it's, I'm caught in that dichotomy of like, they keep announcing like, we got these new contracts, and it's like, okay, that's really good. What's it worth? Like, no idea. And so I think that is definitely not helping their situation, their lack of communication to investors for what to expect. Whereas Rocket Lab, it is a very forward-looking company, and similar to, you know, like think of like a Tesla. Like, they can have a bad earnings report, a Palantir, they could have a bad earnings report, but the investors in certain names know to weather the storm. They understand what they like, what the technology is, and they understand what that technology looks like in 5 to 10 years. And I think Rocket Lab is one of those companies that's uniquely placed, where anyone who's selling, anyone who's sold over the past week, especially, like, they're gone. They're probably not, like, they're certainly not coming back, probably not coming back. And all that's really left are the diamond hands, if you will. I hate that term, but you guys know what I'm saying with that.
Yeah.
Do you mean that you think that they're basically going to forget about the company and never come back, or you just think that they're going to get priced out and they're going to be wanting a cheaper price?
Sorry, more specifically, I mean, Rocket Lab has a very long-term thinking base just due to their nature. Not only is it like a security, obviously, but it's like, it's a rocket company. It's not like a, you know, like it's easy to look at Amazon. What is Amazon? Okay, run forward with that. But with Rocket Lab, it's like, are they uniquely placed? And, you know, why not go all in on Redwire? Why not go all in on Firefly, for example? It's, you know, I consider myself very fortunate to be a part of this group, because like, it doesn't attract idiots, and any of those like kind of more short-term thinkers just got shook out. So it's like, and granted, it's like a smaller cap company. So if the greater market sells off, maybe it does sell off disproportionate to that. Like, Matty, you and I think we're probably, our portfolios kind of echo. You mentioned down about 15%. I think I'm roughly the same. Whereas Rocket Lab down 40%, but I don't know. I realize I'm kind of contradicting myself. I don't think that Rocket Lab will sell off to the degree that people might expect it to. Like, I remember like the hype of Tesla, like people are like, oh, it's going to $20. I'm like, it's at $250. I don't think it's going to $20.
Yeah.
I could see spikes down. Like, I could definitely see where there's very big spikes down, but I think to settle at a price that is much cheaper than $35 a share would be very surprising to me. Like, I was having this great conversation with Vince when we had the fortunate opportunity around Rocket Lab 100 to go see LC3. And it's like, based off of the performance that we've been able to see with space systems, Electron, etc., this is a $15 billion moat company. Like, yeah, people might can sit out there and be like, the revenue doesn't make sense in this sense. Like, but find me another company that could be able to do what Rocket Lab's doing without throwing initially $15 billion and then having to wait for 6 to 7 years likely before they're even to get a first launch off. Mm-hmm. And I'd be very hard to press. So that alone, like, yeah, I get it. Like, maybe from a net income perspective or cash flow from operations perspective, but we've seen people show up at $5 to $10 billion and fail miserably and have to go back for more money. So to even get to a place of where you're at a minimum, I would say is $15 billion of just of moat just around that brand value and around knowing that you can get a rocket off before you even start to talk about profitability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only thing I would add to this, so you're saying that a catalyst for the company is the shareholder base, but historically, Rocket Lab tends to somehow like overreact the stock, like the market. Like, so if the market is going up, like Rocket Lab is 2x going up, and then if the market is going down, then Rocket Lab is 3x going down. And I know you said that the stock doesn't attract idiots, but I do think that I would say Rocket Lab Weekly doesn't attract idiots, but I think that there is, like, I think that there's a lot of margin in Rocket Lab, and that's what, like, not us, but I think that there's a lot of other players who margin out on space stocks, and I think that can cause like very sharp like downfalls, as Matt was alluding to. And there is also, the index buying and selling, that if the space ETFs are selling off, I think that Rocket Lab would not be immune to that, despite how well they are doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point.
Sorry, Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I was just agreeing with Vince. That is a fair point.
Yeah, and I think that is a catalyst on its own, right? I mean, I've been observing this, right? Founder-led companies that are able to get to a place where their cash flow break even, then to a place where they're actually net profitable, then to a place where they're actually generating substantial income, then invite to the S&P 500. I mean, you're thinking about now a company that within, let's just say 24 to 36 months is going to be in the S&P 500. Within the next 12 months, will eventually start to be EPS positive and hopefully cash flow positive. I mean, these are positive catalysts that, if you have a time horizon to wait, I think will show up tremendously in the stock. And by that point, we'll know more about Constellation and what kind of, talk about gross margins, right? I mean, Constellation on its own is going to be north of 75%, maybe closer to 80%, maybe even higher than that, I'm sure. Kind of gross margins once everything's all said and kind of done with that. So very curious, and I think that what people need to look at, and then I will get to some negatives as well. I think what people need to look at is this is like Neutron is an enabler to space, right? And the thought process is I think we put too much emphasis on the fact that like the company is called Rocket Lab, so I think everyone's just like, it's about rockets, it's about rockets, it's about rockets. And I was biased to that myself very early on when I bought into the company. I was like, okay, what's Electron doing? And I didn't fully understand the long-term end-to-end vision. And now that I start to see a little bit more, a glimpse into what maybe Peter and and the rest of the team's vision is really just anything involving space will be able to help you get there and do whatever you need to do. I look at Neutron now as almost like an enabler, recognizing that more revenue will come from Neutron than Neutron itself. And I think that is what I'm looking forward to. This is a stepping stone to opening up another layer of the company that I don't think people fully understand anything about, including myself. It's more so just trusting in somebody that has done something that very few people in the world, let alone will do in the world, have done, which is get a rocket into space, build a nearly profitable space company. So there are some downsides though, right? Like you are going to pay a premium for something like this because of that. People haven't been able to do that. People want to be involved in Blue Origin, but they can't. It's fully owned by Jeff Bezos or partly, if not fully owned by Jeff Bezos. And then same thing with SpaceX, unless you're an accredited investor. So you're going to have to pay a premium because of the quality of this business. And regardless, you're never going to see this company trading at a 10 price to earnings ratio, right? Like, you will always be paying, even at a cheap valuation, I'm certain, in the long-term maturity of it, a very expensive multiple. And I think people will always be arguing that. And I think that is something that we'll just always have to get over. So anyway, I just think, I think a lot of people don't want to do the due diligence in terms of analyzing what has been accomplished, right? And you have a market cap of $2 billion for Firefly, which hasn't even launched off more than 7 rockets, and the majority of which have been failures. And that was what Rocket Lab's valuation was literally just 24 months ago, was $2 billion. And they had launched off countless rockets at that point. So, like, to compare, I think it'll be very interesting going forward.
Yeah, totally. So, okay, so we agree that there is a lot of positive catalysts. Do you guys see anything on the horizon that could act as a negative catalyst? I give you an example. So, for example, I think that this delay with Neutron, like, it had to, because the spreadsheet people who are not seeing the future of this company that we all love and follow, they do have to adjust, because Neutron being delayed, it means that, you know, the growth of Neutron is being delayed, the scaling up of it is being delayed, the revenue is being delayed, and then I think most importantly, the space infrastructure, which I think is a very big part of Rocket Lab's future value, is many years delayed because of this Neutron launch. And then I think that there is quite some people like, okay, management has said the end of 2024, then they changed it to end of 2025. Now they're saying H1 2026. But now we kind of have to think with, like, okay, but what if that's H2 2026? What if that's H1 2027? And then, you know, you add a margin to it. Like, I think that for the spreadsheet guys, like, that does have to pull down the value of Rocket Lab.
I've got to say, there is a bit of irony, you criticizing the spreadsheet guys as we have a spreadsheet open. But you're totally right. But I brought up the revenue. Like, it's like, yes, Neutron's delayed. That sucks. It's a very lucrative program. But you'll see, like, notice the white line. It's like that is outpacing launch as is. Like, if it was exclusively a launch company, we'd be in. Well, I mean, I guess if you isolate Electron out, technically we'd be profitable. But you guys know what I mean. It's like, yeah, it's kicked down the road by a year, but in 5 years we're not going to care. 10 years we're especially not going to care. Right? It's like, it's I don't know.
I always say this, and people give me crap. It's a marathon, not a sprint. A lot of times.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we agree that that's sort of like a negative short-term catalyst on the stock. Like, not for us, but the spreadsheet guys.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, those damn spreadsheet guys. I used to be. I mean, I still am to an extent, right? And I think it's about being taking a step back and seeing the whole broad picture, and being able to see not only just the spreadsheet, but the long-term vision, because that spreadsheet, as you know, in retrospect, you know, when you're looking at, let's take Q1 2023, where the revenue was only $50 million, $55 million. Now you're sitting here just under 180 million. It's just like, well, if you're evaluating off of that quarter and rolling it out 12 months, it's like you're not really taking into account some of those things. And so I don't know. I think that spreadsheets have their time and place for sure, but and I think that they're very useful, especially monitoring trends and being able to keep the company honest. And are they saying what they said, right? I think, but so in terms of short-term catalysts, yeah, I agree. Like, the company is extremely overvalued in that respect. But, you know, like I stated, if you honestly, and you said this in one of your posts earlier, Vince, like, if you honestly think the company could be worth $200 to $300 billion, and you're able to pick it up for the price that you are today, then, you know, I don't want to say what's there to complain about, but it's almost just like, you know, you're putting money into the opportunity that you'll be able to own something like this 10 years down the line. at a way higher valuation than what it is today and what it can provide. And that's what a lot of times ends up happening. That's why people have always overvalued Amazon. That's why they've always overvalued a lot of companies out there. And when it's the company that doesn't actually show up and perform, that's when the stock price craters, right? Or there's a massive misstep or some sort of regulatory issue or something like that. So the stock price is always based off of what everybody in the market is willing to pay and sell for today. The way I look at it right now is everyone's starting to get a little bit risk off in the market right now. It's not a Rocket Lab specific problem. I think it's just like, hey, who knows what's actually going to happen with interest rates? Is the Fed going to cut, etc.? And for right now, I think people are just venturing into stocks that are a little bit less volatile, a little bit less growth oriented. And I think as we find out more next year, people will try to climb back into the stock. And it'll be a lot of fun to see where it goes from there, especially with Neutron actually being successful. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we went through that pretty well. Now I wanted to take this is like the notes from the earnings call. I think Dave did a very good job. Oh, I think I'm sharing Scotto's screen. So here it is. Yeah, I don't know if we can quickly go through this. Scotto, you mentioned that they are like the SDA tranche 2 is like the way they recognize the revenue is 40%, 40%, 10%. We are in this year, right? When they're recognizing 40%, or are we still in the 10% year?
I'm actually just looking right now because I have been tracking something. I don't know what exactly, because I always check that like that 10% threshold customer, and there's one that's been identified as government customer, and it keeps repeating. And so said differently, I think that is actually that tracks almost perfectly. We have, I'm like 90% sure here, so take it with a grain of salt. We have $48 million that was recognized for this government customer in 2024. So that tracks with that 10%. Yeah. And then we have 122 million currently. So we're probably looking at 172 for the year. Would that be 40% of the 500? What was it? 515? That almost seems low.
Sounds close. Sounds close, because it would be like 200 something. 210 would be the 40%.
Okay, so that's probably it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And this new contract, this SDA tranche 3, do you guys remember how big that contract is? Because I had this worry that if we, for any reason, don't get that contract, the space systems is like, I don't know which catalyst it has to keep on pulling in these growth rates that it does.
Yeah, I don't recall the exact value. I think it was a little less. I think it was like 300, 400 range. But even if it's not that, even if it is like the Mars orbiter, that's, what was that, 700 million? So even that, like one single contract. Oh, Space Ghost is saying 750 plus for tranche 3?
Plus minus.
Oh, hold on. He says, my bad. I'm not too sure. You guys check me on that one, because I'm not too sure. But I know it's like within the...
Does anybody know? Because that was supposed to be announced. And then I heard someone said that during the government shutdown, like some of the appropriated money was used to like pay the military, and then now it has to be reappropriated by Congress. I don't know if that was correct. But do you guys know when the announcement?
It's tough, right? Because tranche 3 is 190 satellites in total. Tracking layer is a minimum of 54. Transport layer is 100 to 140. So, I mean, it's a lot of total satellites, and I don't think that one company will win all of it. Just like SDA tranche 2, right? I think it's going to be split into multiple people. So who knows? They might win 2 parts of it. They might win 1 part of it. I'm not 100%, but very unlikely that they'll win all 190 satellites. But the other piece that I think is interesting to consider now that we're talking about this is Tranche 2 also needs to get launched, and that hasn't been awarded yet either. And so I'm curious to see that with this delay in Neutron, does that put that at risk, or are we still kind of in the running for that? Because obviously all you need is a positive launch in 26, and I don't think that those SDA 2 launches are going to happen until late 27, early 28. So I don't know, just another wrench to throw in.
I was seeing Space Ghost mention that there are 3 awardees, 18 each.
3.
I think he means 18 satellites.
Yeah.
And he also mentioned, he reiterated that 700 to 800 million. So like 250 million for a contract. So that's
that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
a nice little boost.
Nice,
but yeah, like whether it's that one, whether it's the Mars orbiter, whether it's like an IoT for a military or another country, like it's there's gonna be a lot of contracts in the horizon, that's for sure.
So it's just the tracking layer for SDA 3 then. Looks like.
I think yeah, and I think that was the one for supposed to be October, awarded in October. So not sure where we're at with that.
All right. So then the next point that was interesting is they asked Sir Peter Beck if the cadence, like, will it change with Neutron, how to think with this, because they were going to launch 1 in 2025 and then 3 in 2026. And then he basically cleared up that the clock starts with the first launch. So like within a year of the first launch, they will launch 3 more. That's how I understood it, at least. You guys can correct me. So basically, like if we launch in Q1 2026, by Q1 2027, it should be 3 more launches of Neutron, right?
I hope so. That's kind of my understanding as well. But
okay. Cool. And then they asked him.
Sorry, I think I wasn't sure if I was muted or not. I was on a different window. I think it'll be dynamic, right? I think that we can always try to plan, and that's all it is just a plan until, we kind of get smacked in the face, right? Whether or not that slap in the face is just slapped in the face with a bunch of dynamic data and or an unfortunate negative result for Neutron, which I don't think will happen. I think we'll get a lot of great information. And I think, to me, success for Neutron is just getting it off the pad and, hopefully getting it into above the Kármán line. If we are able to get a sort of soft splash down comparable to what's been done for the Starship recently, then to me that's like best case, right? Obviously we're not going to land it on day 1 unless somehow for some reason the first launch is severely delayed where return on investment is actually available. But I don't think that we'll get to that point. I mean, I think return on investment likely isn't going to be available until second half 26 at the earliest. So I don't know. Everything's great to plan until you get slapped in the face with data, positively or negatively. So, I mean, we can continue to talk about it, but I think we'll find out more as we really get, closer to it.
By the way, regarding
sorry to be negative, but
yeah. So, by the way, on the first landing of Neutron, I don't know if you guys saw, Jeff Bezos posted this video about the New Glenn landing. And if you watch the video, I don't know if you can see it. I have it open not correctly. So the rocket basically flies next to the ship at first. Here you can see it. You see, like, there's the ship and the rocket flies next to it. And then they run like a bunch of tests to make sure that it's safe. And then the rocket like hovers back over the ship. And I'm like, that's such a genius. And maybe Sir Peter Beck could do the same with return on investment if it's done and Neutron is delayed more, because you kind of de-risk. Like, I understand why you don't want to land straight on the ship on first try, but this is kind of de-risking the first landing. So
I'm sure, sorry, Scott, if you were going to jump in there, I'm sure they got a lot of dynamic data from when they attempted to reignite the first launch. And they saw how quickly, I assume, if things go wrong, it would hit the water. And that would probably not have the boat survive. And so
Yeah.
I think that they probably took that and said, you know what, maybe we should aim for a trajectory slightly off, so that way we could at least preserve the boat in the event where, let's say, the ignition doesn't go to plan, and then slowly sweep over, which I believe is likely going to be easier to do than just assume that everything goes well. Maybe in future launches that'll be fixed once they feel a lot more comfortable. But yeah, I think that that's probably wise, knowing I think they lost communication with it. I'm going to speculate and be like a couple miles above before they got down to the ocean surface. So they probably took that precaution.
Mhm.
But by the way, what did you guys think about the Escapade launch and the Blue Origin landing and Blue Origin becoming a cool company again?
I love it. That was a really cool launch. And like, I don't want to sound like, well, I mean, obviously I'm not a hater. I've been very vocal. Like I want them to succeed, but like just that it was their second launch, going to Mars. I'm like, I don't know, maybe. So I was like cautiously optimistic, and it just, I don't know. It was so like inadvertently well done, where it was like, you know, the booster was coming in and it got cloudy and like the camera kind of broke up, but you kind of saw legs, and it was enough to be like, wait, was that the legs? What are we seeing? And then suddenly the everything cleared, and you're like, oh, they just did it.
They fucking did it.
Flawless.
They fucking did it. Yeah.
Something really cool.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you
just
off.
one last quick point is like, I noticed too, if you rewatch like the landing, there's like little bursts around. So I'm not sure if that's some sort of like nail gun, for lack of a better term, but there's pyrotechnic around there. I thought that was really neat to see.
They patented some like explosion welding or something like this, so that, like it was like welding I saw something on it on so
they can transport it and not have to worry, because it's so top heavy, I assume.
And I wonder that with Neutron too, like where they have to do something similar.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
So I kind of cut you off there, Maddie. What were you
No. Go ahead, Vince.
Does SpaceX weld? Because I know in the beginning they did weld Falcon 9, and then I don't know if they. It's because, you know, like from the wind and like the waves, like it's very easy to. I think they lost like 1 or 2 boosters on transport back to the shore, and and then they welded. But I don't know if they still do it, because Musk was obviously not happy with he thought that the legs was too much volume to carry up to space, and then, you know, a potential failure on the rocket, and we all know it became the chopsticks.
Well, no, I mean, to me, it's all inspiring. I mean, first and foremost, and really big shout out. It just goes to show you, like, what is possible if you have, I don't want to say unlimited money, but if you have unlimited money, right? Like they are kind of raising the bar. And so now I think it's up to Rocket Lab. I know it's a completely different rocket system and completely different rocket entirely. And what's going to happen is just going to be what happens. But I think, you know, we see what happens if you have a $2 billion annual budget to be able to do things. Now we have about 1/10 of that, maybe less even, if you think about it, to see what Rocket Lab can do. And can they get it done on the second try? I'm optimistic that they can, but it'll be really fun to see what it's like.
What if Sir Peter Beck was watching this, and then he's like, they did it on the second, we're gonna have to try to do it on the first. I wouldn't be surprised if they
that requires a boat, and at the moment
that's true.
I don't know if the boat will so
didn't they say it gets commissioned in 2026?
I thought it was second half, but that could be me. That's the last I had heard, was the second half of 26.
Okay. I just remember 26. So I was like, okay, maybe. Yeah.
They said available. They said available for the second launch. So the hope was always like, but now that the first launch has been pushed back by 3 months, I mean, does that mean, you know, is the boat pushed back? It looks like they're on disparate timelines, right? So I would anticipate that the boat, you know, the Neutron being pushed back doesn't mean that the boat gets put back.
By the way, I think the launch has been pushed more than 3 months back, because what they said in the earnings is that in the Q1, Neutron will be delivered to the launch pad. It didn't say that they will launch, which is even lighter than saying there will be an assembled Neutron on the pad. It's
yeah, I'm leaning towards like second half 2026. Like I don't see it happening earlier. I'd love to, but I don't think it will.
Yeah, I saw Dave's video, and he was also thinking like possibly even Q4 2026.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it. I don't know, what do we know, but yeah, he was saying it's possible Q4 2026, but I definitely don't think it's Q1, because they guided for that's when it will be sent to Wallops.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so just to see if we finished everything, I just want to show this. So the NASA administrator tweeted, "I got caught up in the moment of the landing. Great work to the Rocket Lab team for building blue and gold. The more frequent and affordable missions for science and discovery, the better." So that's the future administrator of NASA giving some well-deserved credit to Rocket Lab. Super nice to see. And if we just come back to this, let me see if there's anything else we need to touch on. Neutron budget changes. So they basically said on the conference call that they will have used up 360 million through the end of 2026 due to the intention. And that's over the previous guide of 300 million. And I think they said how many millions it costs in personnel to like per each quarter. I think it was 20 million per quarter. So if we go to Q3 2026, that's an additional 60 million to the budget. So we will land on 440 million in Neutron budget. What do you guys think the budget is going to end at?
Yeah, closer to 400, I bet, by the end, unfortunately. But it's fine, I guess. It's not like Rocket Lab is struggling to raise capital or anything. They have like $1 billion in liquidity now, so they'll be able to weather the storm. That's for sure. They maybe ease up on. Well, no, I was going to say they ease up on acquisitions, but they're pretty explicit. They're out there shopping. So, well, I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the thing I'm not 100% certain on is that 360 just attributed to the first Neutron, right? Or is that inclusive of the serial number 2, serial number 3, the whole program, right? Because to me, it would make more sense if it's inclusive of the entire program, but I don't know the answer to that. So
I'm sure this is just for, what do they call it? Minimum viable product. This will just be for Neutron 1. So this won't include the Block 2 site upgrade where they have like that, what's it called? Gantry. So and like future Neutron, like the upgrades to the rocket as well. So that's probably like 400 just to get the first one off the pad. And then I don't know what they have mentioned in the past as well, like I think it's like, I want to say 80% of the expected total costs, like to get them at like proper capacity for Neutron, 80% of that is going to be for MVP. So I guess if it's like 400 to get the first one off, we're looking more like 500 million total, something like that. But yeah, still a lot of spend in sight, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, and probably the last one that I want to mention about the earnings that made me really happy is on the Electron demand, that they said that they are seeing more and more customers like block buying Electron, and they're seeing more and more national sovereign space agencies, instead of choosing their own homegrown unready rockets, they are choosing and buying Electrons. And Adam Spice mentioned that he thinks that we will start to see like block haste contracts also. So that for me was amazing to see how demand for Electron is scaling up and it's really becoming an industry standard. Do you guys have anything else you want to mention about the earnings call? Because otherwise we finish it off and move on. No? Okay, good.
Nothing for me.
Cool. So we talked about New Glenn landing. I think that was all the Rocket Lab news that I had. We talked about the valuation, where we think the stock is going. The only other space industry news that I had was that the Kuiper project changed name to Amazon Leo, which I think is a fantastic name because it's low Earth orbit and it's like also a name. But yeah, from now on, Kuiper doesn't exist and it's Leo.
Maybe they can finally announce that they're a Rocket Lab customer.
Yeah. So we might be getting an interview with the team. The answer that I got was that they're trying to sync the schedule, but I think it's the first interview in a while where we do have some very valid questions. Like, I think we can ask Sir Peter Beck about this Amazon customer. Matt, you also said that you want to know if in this Neutron budget, like what is included in it and other things. So I'm actually really looking forward to getting the date to the interview and we can ask some really, really cool, good questions. Scotto, you wanted to,
I have two quick updates, and then we'll touch on Firefly's earnings real quick. We'll compare them to Rocket Labs. But the first update, were these both? I'll just give credit to Francisco for both. He sent me something regarding an update to the MDA debacle. So the CEO, Mike Greenlee, this is MDA's CEO, Mike Greenlee, told investors November 14th that the 9 satellites for Globalstar, so this is the first of, what was Globalstar, 17? Or was it 18? 17? I get the SDA and MDA mixed up. Either way, the first 9 satellites for Globalstar are at final satellite integration and test work. Sorry, maybe I'm misunderstanding this. Final satellite integration and test work are scheduled for delivery in early 2026. Globalstar disclosed the delay last week and said it is entitled to liquidated damages from MDA Space. The satellites were originally expected to launch by the end of 2025. So it doesn't seem like Rocket Lab's at fault there. I think it was last week, we were kind of wondering who's exactly at fault. There's an article that went out is kind of vague in terms of who's pointing the finger at who, but it seems like Rocket Lab's in the clear for this one. The next bit of kind of speculation, I guess, I'll take credit. I was under the assumption that hypersonics might have been canceled. That's based on Kratos' CEO making a comment about exclusivity in the US. But I might have been misunderstanding that in that they're going that Kratos is going exclusive with hypersonics and not hypersonics exclusive with Kratos. So all this to say that reason for the uptick in Q3 was due to a launch cancellation. Jacob Keaton, he mentioned that might have been actually Stamo. I'll give him credit for that as well. I was talking to both of them. They're under the impression that is the second EchoStar mission no longer needing to launch due to the Spectrum sale. So I think hypersonics, actually I'm quite certain hypersonics is still on, and it was a different launch that was canceled. So there's those two updates. Just wanted to clarify on that and kind of fact check myself. Do you guys have anything to add on that? If not, we'll jump into Firefly.
I think we can jump in.
Okay. Vince, can I grab the screen back from you?
Here you go.
I'll hop back over. All right. So Firefly reported their earnings earlier this week, a couple days after Rocket Lab. Kind of notes from it. Alpha is back in service following a RUD that happened in late September during a pre-flight static test fire. Alpha's next launch is expected to take place in late Q4/early Q1. In Q3, they saw revenue up 98% quarter over quarter and 37% year over year, largely driven by spacecraft solutions, which was up 130% sequentially. Margins improved across the board, but are still quite lackluster in comparison to Rocket Lab. So for this next section, we essentially take the margins from Firefly, we pull the Rocket Lab margins in from another tab, and we can get a nice side-by-side. You'll notice that, like, kind of no matter which way you slice it, it's, well, lackluster for Firefly. Whether it's free cash flow, adjusted EBITDA, doesn't matter. Rocket Lab's margins are just a little tidier. I guess as of closed, go ahead.
No, it's hard to read the numbers from here. Like, what is their gross margin if you compare it? I'm just curious.
Okay, we'll scroll back up. Oh, actually, no, we have a section that's...
is it negative or positive, their gross margin?
All right, so we have, so this line, total revenue, gross margins the next down. So we have Firefly at 27.6, Rocket Lab at 37. And then, past that, the operating margin gets pretty ugly. Firefly negative 202%, Rocket Lab negative 38. For adjusted EBITDA, Firefly negative 150, Rocket Lab negative 16. And for free cash flow, negative 200% for Firefly, negative 45 for Rocket Lab. So neither are great, but one is, in the lead by quite a bit. Yeah. So with Firefly closing, I guess, Friday at we'll call it a $3.5 billion market cap, what would it take for you guys to jump in to Firefly? Maddie, can I start with you?
Sure, no problem. Yeah, I mean, it's enticing-ish around this price target of about $2 billion. Maybe it's closer to $3 billion at the moment, but because they do have that contract that is, I don't want to say cementing them as the primary contract for lunar landers, but they obviously have a leg up being the first private company in the U.S. to really get that handle, right? So that kind of builds them a little bit of a moat, right? I mean, we're talking about moats and being able to, so, I mean, it beat out Intuitive Machines. Intuitive Machines had a couple tries. They obviously didn't get the opportunity to stick it. And Firefly did. And so, even though they might not necessarily have as good of a record when it comes to launch, and they only have the 7 or so launches under their belt at the moment, with the help of Rocket Lab, they have that lunar lander. And so that alone, I think, gives them potential. Am I buying here? No, but I am looking at it, and I think if things continue to go in the right direction in terms of the company performance, and I feel like we're entering a place where things might cool off a little bit for the market. People need to realize a little bit of price, and maybe some of the speculative nature of going into 2026, I think, might calm down a little bit. If the price is right and it sticks around here and the revenues continue in the trajectory that you're showing, I could see myself making a small position, not nearly to the size of Rocket Lab, but I could see myself putting in a couple thousand share position into something like a Firefly, especially if they continue to get into the world of, say, hypersonics and stuff like that. Because as we get into the Golden Dome and things like that, that money's going to have to be spread around a lot of different people. And so I think there's some potential there.
How about you, Vince?
I mean, because I'm planning to go full portfolio, or I'm close to going full portfolio Rocket Lab. Like, if I would buy a second company, I don't think it would be a space company. So I only have eyes for Rocket Lab currently.
Fair. Two things I meant to point out as well is Firefly's backlog is 1.2 billion, and their liquidity is sitting right around $1 billion as well. So there's those are, I think, very valid talking points in terms of bringing up Firefly and their valuation.
Do they have debt? Because 3.5 billion market cap and 1 billion in the bank, that's 2.5 billion plus the cash, right?
I'm seeing financial debt is at 0.
That's awesome. It's not a bad balance sheet, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, then the company is 2.5 billion. It's not 3.5 billion. Because I mean, you're buying like 1 billion in cash, and then
I see. Yeah.
the price is even better.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, I think we went through everything. We're right around also or did you have more to say about Firefly?
No, that is it.
No? Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing I'll be looking at for Firefly is the integration of whatever they just bought, right? They just spent a couple $100 million, maybe closer to 700 million, I believe, on purchasing and merging with that company. So I don't know much about that other company. And so seeing them merge up a little bit would be interesting to watch over the coming quarters. And so, it's definitely something that's on my eye because it's not worth 10 billion, right? It's worth only 5 billion at this point, or less than 5 billion at this point. So to me, a lot more enticing and a lot more digestible. And I think, depending on what kind of contracts could be coming down Firefly's way, which they have in one of their past presentations, I'm not sure about the third Q, but their IPO presentation had a really good visual as to what they're going after in the short term meaning like the next 3 to 4 years, and has a lot of different things that I don't think a lot of people have their eye on. I think they just think it's Alpha and the Moonlander, but there's other things out there as well that they're trying to work on, like a constellation, medium launch vehicle. So all that as well, if they continue to make progress, could be something where this could also be, a company that's worth $20 to $30 billion is successful. From what I'm seeing, right? Of course, they have to get there, but they have the runway, and they just acquired stuff, and hopefully that adds to their bottom line eventually. But too early to tell.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're not starting Firefly Weekly yet?
No, but you guys will be the first people I reach out to.
Awesome.
That gives that's a wide open invitation for anybody that's out there that is super inspired by Firefly. Back in 2021, a lot of people were inspired by Firefly, Astra, and a lot of others. So sure, there's definitely going to be somebody that does it. So good luck to you. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. So thank you everyone for being here. You guys are awesome. And you, Scotto and Matt, you guys are also awesome. And let's hope that the markets, what are we hoping for? Green or red? Are you guys you want to lessen your losses or buying at better prices mood?
I mean, I'm kind of happy either way, really. If it goes down, I've got cash on the side, and if it goes up, well, I'll win either way.
That's the way to be.
I'm not done working yet, so for me, like it's a nice figure to kind of see the number by your name go up, but to me, I don't need the money as of yet, and I live a pretty cheap life. So right now, I don't really see myself needing the money. So me continuing to work, add money every other week, and continue every time I get a bonus or something, I just throw it into the market. I'm selfish. I would like cheaper prices, but I want to see a spot. It's like oil prices, right? Like you don't want oil prices at $40 a barrel for the people that work in the oil industry because they're going to get laid off. But at the same time, you don't want oil prices at $80, $90 a barrel because then you're hurting the consumer, right? I feel like there needs to be a middle ground for the market where it's like, if I'm able to make a little bit of money and the prices get cheaper and, the price is still going up over time so people can still feel happy. But I'm pretty upset that the market ran as fast as it did because I wanted to get an additional, 20-30% larger position in Rocket Lab, but unfortunately I kind of got priced out, and so my monthly and weekly buys can't afford as much as it used to. So
interesting. So you're saying that you still put in the same amount of money as you planned into Rocket Lab, but it didn't buy as many shares.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Because it sounded like the price went up and then you stopped buying. But
I mean, for the amount of money I was putting in, I was buying hundreds of shares a month, and now I'm lucky to, I don't know how many shares. Yeah, 10 maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Way less.
Cool. Okay, so it sounds like you guys are hoping for red. Me too. I'm also no. Okay, I mean Scotto doesn't care. I'm also hoping for red. Yeah, I hope people can handle the pain, and yeah, it's just the short term. For the long term,
I think people might hear that and they might be like, "Oh my god, of course he has covered calls," or like, "Of course, like Matt wanted." But it's like, I want everyone to make money, but at the same time, it's like when you're making that much money, like, are you fully completed out your position? Because so many times, and it's hopefully you guys are listening and not like jumping to conclusion, getting emotional about it. I understand it's money, it's emotional, but when you think about it, a lot of times, and so often I hear, and I still say this as well, with how much success my Palantir and Rocket Lab positions have brought me, it's always like, oh my God, like I wish I could have bought more. And you end up in this position where unfortunately you're like, well, you know, it's because the stock price ran so much, right? So to me, it's like a blessing and a curse when the stock price goes up. You're able to get your conviction internally, makes you feel good, but at the same time, it's like you can't buy as much shares per dollar. So, you know, I hope and encourage people to kind of think about it that way, because so many people are like, I can't believe they're wanting the price to go down. It's like, well, are you done building your position? Because
exactly.
If you are, then sure, for sure, you curse my name and, you know, say, Matt, go to hell. But I can bet that majority of you guys sitting in this conversation don't have nearly the position that you wish you did. And you wish that you were able to buy 20, 30, 40, maybe even 100% more shares than you did. And unfortunately, you can't because the price is so much. And now you're saying, well, now I don't want to buy. Well, you're getting the opportunity now to buy at a 40% discount from where we were just a couple months back. And I guarantee some people are just getting emotional. And it really just depends. This is where you need to understand, like, what's your conviction telling you? As the kind of goes back to what I said earlier. Did Electron stop launching? No. In fact, they're increasing cadence. Haste, they're going to 50% increase their cadence in just the next week or two with their next launch, and then it's going to be over 100% increase in cadence if they get the second one off before the end of the year, which I'm confident that they will. And they might even get a fifth launch for Haste off for the year. And they only did 2 launches last year. So, you know, you think about all the small steps, right? If you think about it in retrospect, you're like, oh, Neutron's delayed, it's going to 0. But, you know, to me, I view it as a blessing, and I just want to own as much of this company as I can.
Well said.
Well said. Let's end on these wise words. So may your sky stays blue and your stock stay red. See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers all.
See you guys next week.